They discover a family photograph from 1878, and what they see when they zoom in changes everything. Sarah Martinez climbed the creaky wooden stairs to her grandmother's attic in Salem, Massachusetts. Dust particles danced in the afternoon sunlight streaming through a small window, and the musty scent of old memories filled her nostrils as she began sorting through decades of accumulated belongings. Her grandmother, Eleanor, had passed 3 months earlier, leaving behind a house full of mysteries and untold stories. Among stacks of yellowed letters and moth-eaten quilts, Sarah's fingers found a leather-bound photo album tucked beneath a pile of vintage clothing. The cover was worn smooth by countless hands, its brass corners tarnished with age. As she opened it carefully, the binding cracked softly, releasing the faint fragrance of vanilla and aged paper. The first page revealed a formal family portrait captioned and mounted with corner tabs that had begun to curl. Written in faded ink beneath the photograph were the words, "The Morrison Family, Salem, Massachusetts, October 1878. Sarah studied the faces of 6 people arranged in typical Victorian fashion. A stern patriarch with a magnificent beard, a woman in dark silk with her hair pulled severely back, and 4 children of varying ages. Something about the photograph immediately struck her as unusual, though she couldn't quite identify what it was. One of the children, a young girl of perhaps 10 years, seemed to be holding something in her hands, something that didn't quite belong in a formal Victorian portrait. Sarah carried the album to her grandmother's kitchen table, where the natural light was better. She pulled out her phone and activated the camera's zoom function, focusing on the family's faces. As the digital magnification increased, her breath caught in her throat. There, clearly visible in the young girl's hands, was what appeared to be a small leather journal or book. But it wasn't the object itself that shocked Sarah. It was what was written on its cover. In clear, unmistakable letters, she could make out the words, "Underground Railroad Station Log." "That can't be right," Sarah whispered to herself, zooming in further. The text was undeniably there, crisp and clear in the photograph. She rubbed her eyes and looked again, certain she must be seeing things, but the words remained stark and inexplicable in what appeared to be an ordinary Victorian family portrait. Sarah's heart raced as she realized the implications. If this photograph was authentic, it could be evidence that the Morrison family had been involved in the Underground Railroad, the secret network that helped enslaved people escape to freedom before the Civil War. But by 1878, slavery had been abolished for over a decade. Why would they still have such dangerous evidence? She grabbed her laptop and began researching the Morrison family name in Salem's historical records. As a freelance genealogist, Sarah had access to various databases and archives. What she discovered in the next hour would set her on a journey that would consume the following weeks. The Salem Historical Society's digital archives revealed that the Morrison family had indeed lived in Salem during the 1870s. Jonathan Morrison was listed as a merchant and philanthropist in the 1880 census, with his wife Rebecca and their children, Thomas 16, Mary 14, Elizabeth 12, and young Catherine 10, the girl holding the mysterious journal. Sarah made an appointment with Dr. Robert Chen, a photography expert at Boston University who specialized in 19th century photographic techniques. When she showed him the image on her laptop screen, his expression shifted from casual interest to intense fascination. "This is extraordinary," Dr. Chen murmured, adjusting his glasses and leaning closer to the screen. "The photographic quality is exceptional for 1878, and the detail visible in this journal cover is remarkable. Most family portraits from that era wouldn't capture text this clearly." He downloaded the image and began analyzing it with professional software. "The grain structure is consistent with albumin prints of the period, and I don't see any obvious signs of digital manipulation. But this journal," he shook his head slowly, "if this photograph is authentic, you may have stumbled upon a significant piece of Underground Railroad history." Dr. Chen agreed to conduct a full forensic analysis of the original photograph using techniques that could determine its age, composition, and any signs of alteration. Sarah left his office with more questions than answers, but also with a growing conviction that she had stumbled upon something truly extraordinary. The Underground Railroad had officially ended with the abolition of slavery, but Sarah began to wonder if some networks had continued operating for different purposes after the Civil War. Sarah's research into the Morrison family led her to an unexpected discovery. Jonathan Morrison had been listed in several abolitionist publications during the 1850s and 1860s as a friend to freedom. She found records of substantial donations he had made to anti-slavery organizations, and evidence that his textile business had refused to use cotton produced by enslaved labor. Her next stop was the Peabody Essex Museum in Salem, where curator Linda Jacobson helped her access the museum's collection of local historical artifacts. In a climate-controlled storage room, they found a small wooden box labeled Morrison Estate, donated 1925. Inside the box were 3 items that made Sarah's pulse quicken: a collection of coded letters, a detailed map of Massachusetts with certain houses marked, and a journal matching the one visible in the photograph. The journal was filled with dates, names, and cryptic notations that clearly documented Underground Railroad activities. "My dear Henry," one letter began, dated December 15, 1877, "the work continues, though the nature has changed. We now aid those fleeing different forms of bondage, Chinese labor escaping brutal contracts, Irish servants trapped in debt, and others seeking true freedom. The network that once served one cause now serves justice in all its forms." Sarah photographed every page of the journal, her excitement building with each entry that revealed the Morrison family's continued involvement in helping vulnerable people long after the Civil War's end. The family had adapted their Underground Railroad network to help new groups of exploited workers and immigrants who needed assistance escaping dangerous situations. The journal revealed that Jonathan Morrison had not disbanded his Underground Railroad connections after 1865, but had instead transformed them into a broader network, helping various groups of exploited workers. His entries described assistance provided to Chinese railroad workers, Irish domestic servants, and Italian laborers who had been trapped in predatory contracts. One journal entry dated October 15, 1878, proved particularly significant. "Today we photograph the family with young Catherine holding the station log. If anything should happen to us, this image will serve as proof of our work and guide future generations to continue the mission of justice." Sarah's hands trembled as she read these words. The Morrison family had deliberately included the journal in their family portrait as a form of insurance, a way to preserve evidence of their humanitarian work for posterity. The answer to why they had kept such potentially dangerous records became clear in later entries which described ongoing threats from former slaveholders and criminal organizations who profited from various forms of labor exploitation. They had maintained detailed records as protection against false accusations and as evidence of their legitimate activities. Linda Jacobson was fascinated by Sarah's discoveries. "This would explain why there are gaps in our records of post-Civil War humanitarian efforts," she said. "If families like the Morrisons were operating secret networks to help exploited workers, much of that history would have been deliberately hidden." Sarah began to understand that she was looking at evidence of how the Underground Railroad had evolved after slavery's abolition, continuing to serve people trapped in other forms of bondage and exploitation. Dr. Chen's forensic analysis confirmed what Sarah had begun to suspect. The photograph was absolutely authentic. Spectrographic analysis of the paper and albumin coating proved the image dated to the 1870s, with no evidence of digital or chemical alteration. "This is one of the most significant historical discoveries I've encountered," Dr. Chen announced during their second meeting. "Not only is the photograph genuine, but the journal visible in the image represents a missing piece of post-Civil War humanitarian history." Sarah had also contacted Dr. Margaret Foster, a historian at the Smithsonian Institution who specialized in Underground Railroad research. Dr. Foster's analysis of the Morrison family documents revealed the sophisticated network they had maintained. "What's remarkable," Dr. Foster explained over a video call, "is how the Morrisons adapted their Underground Railroad infrastructure for new purposes. They understood that abolishing slavery didn't end labor exploitation. It just changed its forms. The surviving documents showed evidence of a coordinated network spanning from Massachusetts to Pennsylvania with safe houses, coded communications, and financial support systems, all repurposed to help different groups of vulnerable workers. Sarah realized she was documenting not just a family mystery, but a significant chapter in the history of American social justice movements. She began preparing a comprehensive report that would detail her discoveries and potentially expand understanding of post-Civil War humanitarian efforts. The story was becoming bigger than just her grandmother's family photo. It was evidence of how dedicated abolitionists had continued fighting injustice in new forms after their initial victory. As Sarah delved deeper into Jonathan Morrison's life, she discovered references to correspondence with other known abolitionists and social reformers of the era. A letter fragment mentioned collaboration with friends in Boston and Philadelphia regarding continued vigilance against all forms of human bondage. Her breakthrough came when she located Jonathan's surviving great-great-granddaughter, 89-year-old Ruth Morrison Parker, living in a retirement community in Concord, Massachusetts. Ruth had inherited her great-grandfather's papers and had been quietly preserving them for decades, unaware of their historical significance. Grandfather Jonathan was considered the family's conscience, Ruth explained, her eyes brightening as she spoke. My father always said he never stopped fighting for what was right, even after the war ended. The family knew he had helped people, but we never understood the full extent until now. Ruth led Sarah to her apartment's spare room, where she retrieved several boxes that had been preserved for nearly a century. Inside were more letters, detailed maps, financial records, and most remarkably testimonials from dozens of people the Morrison Network had helped between 1865 and 1885. One letter, written in broken English, told the story of a Chinese worker who had escaped a brutal railroad camp with the Morrisons' help. Another described an Irish woman who had been trapped in domestic servitude until the network provided her with safe passage and a new identity. He always said these documents would be important someday, Ruth whispered, carefully handling the letters. He made the family promise to keep them safe, even though we never understood why until now. Sarah documented everything with meticulous care, realizing she was likely the first historian outside the Morrison family to see these artifacts since the 1880s. Working with Dr. Foster and a team of historians, Sarah began to understand the true scope of Jonathan Morrison's post-war humanitarian network. His organization had helped hundreds of people escape various forms of exploitation. Maintaining detailed records and sophisticated communication systems, the research revealed that Morrison had been part of a larger informal network of former abolitionists who had recognized that ending slavery was only the first step in fighting labor exploitation. They had adapted their underground railroad methods to address new forms of human trafficking and debt bondage. What Morrison and his colleagues achieved was remarkable, Dr. Foster concluded. They created one of the first systematic approaches to helping exploited workers in post-Civil War America. Their methods influenced later labor reform movements and immigrant assistance organizations. The team's analysis also revealed why Morrison's work had remained hidden. The political climate of the 1870s and 1880s was hostile to labor organizing and immigrant rights. Morrison's network had operated in secrecy to protect both their workers and the people they helped. Sarah began to see Jonathan Morrison as a transitional figure who had connected the abolitionist movement to later social justice causes, creating continuity between pre-war and post-war reform efforts. The photograph that had started her investigation was revealed to be a deliberate historical record, created by a family that understood the importance of preserving evidence of their humanitarian work for future generations. The final piece of the puzzle came when Sarah discovered a letter from her own great-great-grandmother, Maria Santos, who had worked as a seamstress for wealthy Salem families in the 1880s. The letter found among Eleanor's papers mentioned working for the generous Morrison family and helping to pack charitable supplies for people in need of assistance. This connection explained how the Morrison family photograph had ended up in Sarah's grandmother's possession. Maria had been trusted with several family photographs and documents by Rebecca Morrison, who had wanted to ensure their preservation after Jonathan's death in 1889. Sarah's grandmother, Eleanor, had known about the photograph's significance, but had kept quiet about it, understanding instinctively that some family secrets were meant to be preserved until the right time for revelation. Eleanor always said there were important stories in old photographs, Sarah's Aunt Carmen remembered. She used to look at that Morrison picture and say it held secrets that would matter someday. I think she knew we were protecting something special. The family connection gave Sarah's discovery a deeply personal dimension. She wasn't just documenting a historical mystery, she was uncovering a story that her own family had helped preserve for over a century. As Sarah prepared to share her findings with the historical community, she realized that her grandmother's attic had yielded far more than dusty memories. It had revealed a hidden chapter of American social justice history and the remarkable story of ordinary people who had continued fighting for human dignity long after their initial victory. Sarah's comprehensive report, published jointly by the Salem Historical Society and the Smithsonian Institution, shed new light on the continuation of underground railroad networks after the Civil War. The authenticated 1878 photograph, combined with the Morrison family's surviving documents, provided crucial evidence of how abolitionist networks had evolved to address new forms of labor exploitation. The discovery led to a major exhibition at the National Museum of American History titled Beyond Abolition: The Continuing Fight for Human Dignity. The original 1878 photograph became the centerpiece, displayed alongside the Morrison family's documents and testimonials from the people they had helped. Dr. Foster's research expanded into a comprehensive study of post-Civil War humanitarian networks, revealing similar operations in other northern cities. The Morrison papers became a crucial source for understanding how former abolitionists had maintained their commitment to social justice. Ruth Morrison Parker lived to see her great-grandfather finally receive recognition for his continued humanitarian work. At the museum's opening ceremony, she donated the family's documents to the Smithsonian's permanent collection, ensuring they would be preserved and studied by future researchers. Jonathan always believed that ending slavery was just the beginning, Ruth said, her voice strong despite her age. He knew there would always be people who needed help escaping exploitation. This discovery proves he was right to keep fighting. Sarah kept the original photograph, now professionally preserved and documented. She often thought about her grandmother, Eleanor, and great-great-grandmother, Maria, who had unknowingly safeguarded this remarkable piece of history for generations. The simple family portrait from 1878 had indeed changed everything, revealing how dedicated reformers had continued their fight for human dignity long after their most famous victory. The story of the Morrison family's extended network became a reminder that social justice work often continues in quiet, undocumented ways, and that ordinary families can preserve extraordinary legacies for future generations to discover and honor.